Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tasya Hania Febriningtyas. My ID number is 18220101. Today I will explain about instructional design. There are instructional objectives, instructional activities. Choose the instructional media and tools. The first is instructional objectives. Objectives is the specific statement about what the students will be able to do as a result of the instruction. The instructional objectives purposes there are: objective can help the teacher in designing tasks. Objective can guide the teacher in planning the instructional activities. The components of an objective. There are students' expected performance, appropriate condition wherein students' performance may take place, the level of performance. In another version of his recent publication, Meagher points out 4 components that are explicitly included in a statement of behavioral objectives. The first is that it requires an answer of who will. The second is do what. The third is how much or how well, and the fourth is when. The characteristics of objectives are: objectives describe a learning outcome. Objectives should be consistent with the curriculum goal. Objectives should be precise, and the last is objectives should be feasible. And then is the taxonomy of Bloom. Bloom's revised taxonomy in higher order thinking skills is the first: creating, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, and the last is remembering. In the use of the observable or operational words, the levels of complexity are graded and basically derived from Bloom taxonomy. Bloom taxonomy attempts to break down the skills into the cognitive levels of categories or cognitive domain. The cognitive domain is outlined as follows. The first is knowledge. The second is comprehension. The third is application. The fourth is analysis. The fifth is synthesis. And the last is evaluation. And the next is planning instructional activities. The first is types of instructional activities are the first is motivating students. And how we motivating students? There are 6 ways for motivating students. The first is arousing students' curiosity. Second is making instructional relevant to student interest. The third is entertaining the students. Fourth is getting students to be involved actively in the lesson. The fifth is being enthusiastic, And the last is providing the students with the rewards. And next is informing the instructional objectives to the students. And then is helping students recall prerequisites. There are 6 ways to helping students recall prerequisites. There are: remind the students about the previous learn. Second is ask the students to recall the prerequisites knowledge. The third is ask the student to demonstrate the prerequisite skill. The fourth is teach the learners to use visual image and other memory strategies to recall prerequisite knowledge. The fifth is encourage peer discussion and group-based learning. And the last is assign the students frequent practice tests of quizzes. And the fourth is presenting the information and examples. And the fifth is providing practice and feedback. And the last is summarizing the lesson. The next is instructional activities for different types students. There are several activities that the teacher can do for below average students, such as break the objectives down into smaller objectives to have the instruction more appropriate to their ability. Then, increase the emphasis on the motivation. Next is make sure that they have the necessary prerequisite knowledge. Provide a large number for examples. Give a lot of practice and feedback in which they experience success. And the last is plan for remedial activities. And the last is how to plan learning activities in general. There are three ways. Is presenting the information and examples, providing practice and feedback, and the last is summarizing the lesson. Now we talk about choosing instructional media. What is instructional media? When considering the instructional media, we must distinguish between the materials and the equipment. The material itself can exist in several formats. Example is a still picture, maybe print in a textbook. It may appear in a film strip and other. The still picture is the material, and the projector or a bulletin board is the equipment. The material and the equipment together constitute the medium. The role of instructional media is the media used for the education purpose are known as educational media. For the systematic presentation of the instruction, we use instructional media. The term instructional media includes a wide range of materials, equipment, and techniques. There are chalkboard, bulletin boards, film strips, slides, motion pictures, cards, books, and combination of these. The media selection are: the purpose of the media selection process is to determine the best media for a given instructional situation, to determine the most appropriate media for their needs. Instructors must evaluate the objectives, the content, and the learner. Many instructional programs may be combinations of the methods of communicating messages to learners. Since media is only a distribution system for delivering various messages and representations to learners, each strategy mentioned below places the learner and teacher in a different role. Now, let's move to developing assessment tools. What is different of teaching and learning? Teaching is guiding and facilitating learning, enabling the learner to learn, setting the condition for learning. And the learning is showing or helping someone to learn how to do something, giving instruction, guiding in the study of something, providing with knowledge, and causing to know or understand. What is the difference among test, measurement, assessment, evaluation, and test? The test is a method of measuring a person's ability, knowledge, or performance in a given domain. The measurement is the assignment of number according to the rules to physical or mental object, attributes, traits, construct, or concept. The assessment is systematic approach to collecting information and making inferences about the ability of a student or the quality of a teaching. Evaluation is a process of summing up the result of measurement or test, giving the sum meaning based on value judgment. Three reasons for testing the students as proposed by Reiser and Dick. The first is assigning grades to the students. Second is determining what the student know in order to provide appropriate remediation. And the last is identifying ineffective portion of the instruction. Kinds of assessment form: multiple choice or closed-ended question, closed test, essay or open-ended question, rubric assessment, and other. That's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.